Travelling out in the Sahara, I didn't really expect to find much in the way of culinary technique, but I was wrong. I found great flavours and plenty of fresh produce.
Morocco has a long history of conquest and colonisation, and over the centuries, many countries have left their stamp on this amazing cuisine.
Make a Berber out of you yet, Shane?
But at the beginning of it all were the Amazigh people,
All the spices are in there. It's time to do the special bit.
who lived all across the north of Africa.
I've got 3 killer dishes to put on the menu at Maha, including my spin on a lamb tajine. Order in.
Around 1500 years ago, the Arabs arrived in Morocco, bringing with them a new religion called Islam. Prior to this, the indigenous Amazigh people lived a largely nomadic existence, and in the eastern town of Rizani, their culture and cuisine still dominates.
The town of Rizani has long been a strategic trade point, joining West Africa to the Mediterranean, bringing with it salt, spices, slaves and more. And this town is still a hive of activity.
I've travelled out to the edge of the Saharan desert in eastern Morocco, to a frontier town called Rizani. From here, my plan is to head to Erfoud, the date capital of northern Africa. Oases are the lifeblood of the desert. In 757 AD, a town was built here on the edge of the Tafilol Oasis. And ever since, people have been coming here from far and wide, especially on the all-important market days.
Hey, Shane.
How are you going?
Good. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good. Yusuf.
Hey,
Shane.
How you going? You good? Nice to see you.
One local that's travelled a bit further than most is fellow Australian Karen Hatfield.
So, how does a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Melbourne bird end up in a Moroccan outpost like this?
Foolhardiness, luck.
Yeah?
I came here on a holiday and just fell in love with the area. And I met Yusuf. We talked about maybe opening a business together, and he thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea. You thought it was a good idea, didn't you?
Yeah. And how long's it been now?
The holiday was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Karen and Yusuf have set up an artist retreat right on the edge of the desert. Tonight, they've invited me to spend a night with them under the Saharan stars, complete with a traditional Amazigh feast. With veggies bought, it's time to choose the meat.
Pick your goat.
So this is the meat market.
This is the meat market.
Lamb on aisle 1,
Yeah.
goat on aisle 2.
Nothing wrapped in plastic
Yeah,
here.
all fresh, huh?
Yep.
I wouldn't even know where to start on choosing something live like this.
This is why we have Yusuf.
Let's go, let's choose one.
Okay.
So what do you think, Yusuf?
Good ones.
No good ones?
They're all a bit skinny, aren't they?
Yeah. That one is good one, but is already someone who buy it.
This means it's
That
more.
is like just the bone.
Bit bony.
Yeah.
So all the goats seem a bit bony or sold. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to find the right thing. And that's half the battle shopping in the market. You can't go there with a preconceived idea of what you're going to cook, because sometimes it's just not good. But there are heaps of sheep around, and I'm sure we can find something that's going to be great for the tajine.
What do you think, Yusuf?
Much better than a goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
And it's a nice colour, so it'll make a good rug for you.
Exactly. So, you know, it's a bit of food, bit of interior decorating.
All at once. That's right, multi-purpose, nothing goes to waste.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao.
See you soon, bye.
With our main meal sorted, Karen and Yusuf need to get going in order to prep everything for tonight, including the butchering of that fresh sheep, leaving me the more pleasurable task of finding some lunch.
So in this part of Morocco, there's a dish called medfouna, which is bread filled with meat and veggies, traditionally cooked in the ground, and it's known as a Berber pizza. Get medfouna? Oui. Just for one, for me? Thanks. These are always pretty cool, these shops. You don't really get this back home, but all over the Middle East, there's shops where they'll specialise in the filling, and you'll take it somewhere else and they'll bake it for you.
Into the mix goes the meat, onions, parsley, some almonds and a boiled egg. The compulsory Moroccan spice mix Ras Al Hanout is added, and then we're ready to go.
I'm going to take that down to the baker and have some lunch.
On the edge of the Sahara, wood is at a premium. To help manage these scarce resources, communal public ovens are still an important fixture in Moroccan towns.
Salam. So this is where all the magic happens. He's just going to flatten out the dough. Looks like he's putting some cracked wheat down. My gorgeous filling is going to go on the inside. This all gets wrapped and then baked. So it's sort of like it's encrusted, like a calzone almost.
A good dusting of semolina on top,
Beautiful.
and it's into the oven.
And that's it. 30 minutes in the oven and it's lunchtime. Oh, yeah. You know, it tastes exactly the way it looks. You can taste all the ras el hanout. The lamb flavour's gone right through the dough. That's great.
This is my kind of lunch, and I reckon there might be a place for something like this on my restaurant menu.
The medfuna's a great dish. It's got two of my favourite things, bread and meat. And it's all brought together with that gorgeous ras el hanout. It's a little bit unrefined though, and I think I could probably tweak it a bit. I might start with the dough. That medfuna was great. Just to freshen it up, some grated zucchini, caramelised onions, nice and sugary, a little bit of grated tomato, some preserved lemon. You could use fresh lemon, but I think preserved lemon is one of those flavours that relates back to Morocco. Good hit of salt, some smoked paprika, some coriander and some parsley. And I think the introduction of the fresh herbs will just lighten it up a bit. And just to round it off, some ricotta cheese, and it'll just bring it all together. That's going to be a great filling.
For the crust, I'm using a basic bread dough recipe, but I'm keen to give it a rustic texture, just like in Rasani. To do this, I'm pressing the dough into some semolina, poppy and coriander seeds.
Got my filling. Try not to get it on the edges, because that'll stop it from sticking. Base, and then I'm just going to start crimping it up, exactly like how he did. Just to seal it. All right, so a little sprinkle of semolina around the base, turn it around. Oh, that looks great. It's got that nice semolina crust, which we kind of saw everywhere through Morocco. Now, I don't have a 100-year-old baking oven in my kitchen like those blokes did back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the pan to get that nice crispiness. If I seal it on the base first, hopefully when it goes in the oven, that'll stay together. The moment of truth. Grab that out. I'm going to flip that. Ah, spot on. That's really gone crispy. Just to finish it off, I've got some preserved lemon skins that I've dehydrated and pureed, which is sort of what the desert's about. It's dry, it's rough, but it's also really beautiful. Oh, it's that crusty that this knife won't even cut through it, which is great. Check that out. Really gooey, nice dough. You can see it's sucked up all the flavour. Herbs, cheese, onions, zucchini, tomato, and crispy bread.
And that will be a great course for my vegetarian customers. Entering the Sahara Desert is a truly breathtaking experience. So desolate, it's hard to believe people have lived here since the last ice age.
And how cliche is this? In the Sahara, jumping on a camel. I suppose it's one of those things I just have to do.
Honestly, I'd prefer 1,000 cc's between my legs. But I guess that would distract me from that view. This is Erg Shabi, a 50-kilometre stretch of the Sahara in Morocco's southeast. I'm meeting up again with Australian Karen Hatfield, who hosts artist retreats in these luxury ensuite tents. We're going to cook the way the nomadic Amazigh did, using the meat and veggies we bought from the markets.
What are we cooking?
This will be the tajine. So the tajine is not only the dish, but it's also
What it's cooked in.
what it's cooked in.
So what goes in here? So we've got onions, potatoes.
Yeah, I've got eggplant, a little bit of tomato. Really, it's any vegetable you want.
Yeah. It's a bit chilly.
It's a bit warmer. So, Yosef, can you bring the meat?
Yeah, of course.
Shukran.
Our lamb was slaughtered only a few hours ago, so this rump is as fresh as you can possibly get.
I hear you're the master of spicing.
Oh, thank you so much. We try. So, cumin, paprika, salt. And we do like 3 times, right?
That's an interesting measure. If I wrote a recipe and want 3 knives of paprika.
Paprika, cumin and salt are fundamental to Moroccan cooking.
So fill that up with some vegetables.
Yeah.
It's very visual Moroccan tagine cooking. Like,
Yes.
you know, with all the vegetables, how they're placed and...
Yes, yeah.
The tagine pot is perfect for cooking in the desert, as it only needs a small amount of water. As the steam rises, it condenses onto the cone and then falls back into the food, keeping it moist.
Yeah, so that's it.
That's it.
We'll let that
We're
sit
just waiting.
an hour and a half.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real
It's
cooking.
real one.
There's no microwave here.
No.
You know, no bing, 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 done. You have to actually cook.
Yes, we're out of
good.
somewhere we have.
Yeah.
It's nice.
No, I like it. I like it.
Nose to tail eating might be the new buzzword back home, but here, it's just a part of everyday life. It might sound a bit gross, but to accompany our tagine, we're preparing bulfas kebabs,
Yeah, exactly like that.
which is basically offal wrapped in stomach fat, which crispens the outside, leaving the meat nice and tender.
Make a Berber out of you yet, Shane.
A night under the stars in the Saharan desert is one of those experiences I will never forget.
You know, when you're cooking on coal like this, it's more than just a heat medium to cook the dish. You're actually getting the flavour of the coal inside the tagine. So you've got this beautiful flavour of vegetables and spice and onions, and then all that coal and smoky flavour. It's an unbelievable experience. And sitting here in the Sahara with people who come from this land, underneath the stars, once in a lifetime opportunity. Thank you very much.
Oh, so welcome.
Tagines are quintessentially Moroccan, and the simplicity of this dish is what really sings to me. But one area I think I can improve on is texture. I want a bit of crunch with my meat and veg, and I think I know just the thing.
Tagine is the dish of Morocco, and everyone's got a different spin on it. But for me, the 2 classic flavours are dates and lamb. Onions and garlic, just sliced up and loads of them. Little pinch of saffron, and really the rest of the flavour comes from the meat, which has already been rubbed in spice. Tomato, just grate it up. Now I'm going to line the base with loads of potato, sliced up. One thing I did learn in Morocco is that a presentation's king when you're making a tagine. You know, every piece of vegetable is placed in a systematic little way to make sure that you get a bit of veggies, a bit of meat, but it has to look good. So I'm just going to get some medjool dates now, take out the pip and get that sort of sweet, toffee flavour of the date into the dish. And that's a big thing in Morocco, that balance between sweet and savoury, salty and sort of sour. Now really all the flavour for the dish is going to come from the spice that's already rubbed onto the meat. A little bit of cumin, paprika, salt.
And the perfect vegetable to suck up all those flavours is eggplant, which I'm cutting into large pieces.
It'll be a nice way to get all that flavour of the eggplant, but still keeping it together. Splash of olive oil. So, just on the stove, some saffron stock, which is just water and saffron. And that saffron's really going to bring some life into it. Lid on, bring it to the boil, turn it right down and let it simmer for about 40 minutes or until that lamb's falling apart. But where I'm going to bring this tagine to life is I'm going to give it a bit of texture. So I'm going to make a gremolata, well, kind of a gremolata. So I'm going to keep it real rustic. Olive oil in the pan, good whack of butter, with some old breadcrumbs, whatever you like cooking with, and make it crispy and sort of like fry it from the inside out. Some dates, walnuts, a bit of fresh ginger, because we saw a lot of dry ginger in Morocco, not so much fresh, and fresh ginger's a killer, especially when you're trying to lift something up. Just toss through lemon zest and some lemon juice. Some parsley. Put that through and it's done. Time to plate up the tagine. Smells good, looks good, and the eggplant's kind of still together, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it to be all pureed. Just to plate it up. Potatoes are cooked, but not overcooked. And the meat, you can see it, really soft. It's just breaking apart. Spot on. And to bring it all to life, some of that crunchy, sweet, zesty gremolata. And even though I'm not cooking it on the campfire out in the desert, it's still got all the flavour of a traditional tagine, plus a little bit of refinement and a lot more texture. And I'm pretty happy with my version of the old lamb and date tagine.
About an hour away from the dunes of Air lies the town of Erfurt. So far, this desert region has given me a killer new entree and main for my restaurant menu. And I'm hoping Erfurt may hold the key to a new dessert.
By Moroccan standards, the town of Erfurt is a pretty new place. It was built by the French. It acted as a bit of an outpost for the Foreign Legion as it sits right on the Algerian border.
Erfurt's claim to fame is dates. This town sits at the centre of one of the biggest palm groves in the world. And most of this produce is funneled through here.
Are these all the same type of dates, or?
No, we have so many kinds, different quality of dates. We have the first quality, the second quality. There are different qualities.
But they're all from this region, yeah?
Yeah, we have this kind. It's called mizmijhur.
And are these one of the sweeter dates?
Yeah, it's
really sweet. And these are the ones we see a little bit in Australia, majul dates. They're known as toffee date. Oh. It's like you've just eaten a caramel. It's like exploded and all the toffee flavours just running down the back of my throat. It's really, really sticky.
Dates were ideal for the nomadic Amazigh. Not only were they light and easy to transport, they're incredibly calorific, making them perfect for long desert treks.
And how long do they stay here under the sun?
not so long.
Just to dry them out a little bit. These are exactly like the dates that I try to get back in Melbourne. And dates like this are the real gem of sort of Middle Eastern cuisine, but no one uses them better than the Moroccans. They introduce this really beautiful sweetness from the date and seem to blend it with some spices and some meat to produce some amazing dishes. I think one of the best ways to see it is when they cook it in a tajine.
With over 800,000 palm trees growing in the oasis around Erfurt, it's one of the largest palm groves in the world. Today, Mehdi, who lives and works in the oasis, is going to show me how the Amazigh use dates to flavour their cookery.
Nice to meet you. You are welcome in Erfurt City.
Thanks, mate. So how do we cook this dish?
We use the onion.
Again, the tagine is a simple process. This time we're using beef, and on top go a couple of onions, followed by a generous splash of Morocco's aromatic olive oil.
Put some spices.
It's surprising how little spices go into this dish.
Really, there was only a little touch of cumin, a little touch of ginger, salt and pepper. You know, every time I've cooked a dish that's sort of got that Moroccan soul about it, I've always added a lot more like spice quantity to it. So I'd be interested to see how it comes out later.
In fact, after the beef, all these ingredients, from the onions to the carrots and dates, are all at the sweet end of the spectrum, even the saffron-infused water. 2 cloves of garlic and coriander give it some punch, followed by even more sweetness, cinnamon.
So now the meat's cooking, all the spices are in there. It's time to do the special bit. So we're just taking the seeds out of the dates and replacing it with a walnut.
I love the way Mehdi is sautéing the dates in olive oil, releasing all that caramel goodness. It's a technique I might use myself.
And this really reflects Moroccan cuisine. That sweet, the savoury and the spice. Wow, well done, mate. Oh, no, I'm joking. That's really good, mate. It's beautiful. It's got a great nose. You know, when you lift it up, you can smell the sweetness of the dates and a little bit of that spice. But the one thing that it doesn't have, that I do back at the restaurant, is it doesn't have a real pungent spice flavour. When you start eating the meat, you can taste the meat, you can taste the sweetness that's coming from the dates, but I wouldn't say it's spicy. It doesn't have a lot of fragrance. If I was going to do anything, I'd probably turn that up, but you can't beat an experience like this with these boys eating this out in the palm grove.
Mehdi's cooked dates were delicious, and I reckon those flavours in a cake will be a killer.
First thing, lemon juice, orange juice, spices. So I'm just gonna bring that up to the boil. Just gonna add my dates to that syrup. Just gonna return that to the boil, turn it off, let it chill.
While they cook, it's time to get going on the cake.
Dead simple. Sugar, panko breadcrumbs, a touch of baking powder, and some ras al hanout. Start mixing, and add some olive oil. We had some really gorgeous olive oil travelling through Morocco, all local. And I think olive oil with salt and dates, beautiful mix. Start slowly adding in a couple of eggs. Now all that's left to do with that is I'm gonna grate in the zest of a little bit of orange just to lift it. And the same with some lemon. Just fold that through. And that cake batter's done. So the cake batter just goes into a lined tray. And this is one of the things I love about this recipe. Apart from it being easy to make, it goes straight in a cold oven, no need for preheating. 160 degrees, 45 minutes, and then for 10 minutes, I'm gonna crank it up to 170 to give it a nice golden crust. All right, there we go. Looks great. It's caramelized, it's crunchy. Just going to pour the syrup straight over the top. You want all that juice in there because you want the cake to become really syrupy and moist. All the dates and the spice. Just let that cake cool and get ready to plate it up. Now, a nice generous slice. You can hear as I'm cutting it, it's like gooey and syrupy. Straight on the plate. Some of those dates, garnish it up a little bit. And to finish it off, I've got a salted white chocolate ice cream that's gonna go great with the dates and even better with the olive oil. And that's the dish done. Flavours of the desert, dates, olive oil, salt, spice, Moroccan food with a little twist.
I would have never thought the Saharan desert would give me such great inspiration for 3 new dishes. But the ultimate test happens here in my restaurant, and table 7 are the first ever customers trying these new dishes. First up, my reimagined medfuna.
Does that go?
My next challenge was to infuse the spirit of the Sahara into my lamb and date tajine. Did I succeed?
I love those little crispy.
The croutons on top.
Makes you want to eat more of it.
And finally, my new dessert, the olive oil and date cake. How could you not like that?
I loved it. It's quite rich.
Being a date person, I really appreciated the dates as well.
If you had to give it a bit of a rating, where would you be out of 10?
8.5, room for improvement.
And then room. You can come back, I like you. At least you're honest.
Well, it's good to be kept on your toes.